Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel, which is Strangely Relatable, and my name is Eunice Ndambi.
And I'm Irene Kadambi, and today we'll be sharing a few things about living in France, Italy, and Netherlands. Because we've both lived in the Netherlands, and she lives in Italy, I live in France. So we have identified like 13 points that we'd like to share with you.
So point number one is about the cities. They are beautiful, well coordinated and planned. And this is about the transport system, the buildings, the commercial areas, the industrial areas. Everything is well thought of when they are developing this system. Also, when it comes to um, natural features that are within the city, like rivers, they are well catered for. There's no pollution. So one thing we can say that is um, common across cities within these three countries is that they are beautiful and well coordinated.
So number two is about documentation. Like in Europe, I tend to believe generally in Europe, like you cannot access any services without proper documentation. So if you come through back doors, it will be so hard. You cannot even open a bank account. You cannot rent a house. Like it's so hard. So if you're thinking about coming to Europe, I think it's better if you use the right means instead of coming through back door and then you come to suffer here, sleeping in the streets. If you're sick, you cannot even seek medication. Like, yeah, without documentation, then no one knows you and you cannot access anything.
Numero tre is about health system. The health system within European countries is very good. Though sometimes you need to book appointment and wait for long, maybe if when you're sick, but once you get the appointment and you visit the hospital, you're able to receive high quality medical services.
And I think in case of emergencies, they excuse you, like you don't have to book an appointment if it's urgent. Yeah. So number four, it's about the weather. Like Europe is in northern hemisphere, so we have the seasons. And the more north you go, the colder it becomes during winter. So like in the Netherlands, it's quite cold during winter. And also I think they don't have many hot summer days. Like, yeah. But in France, it's different, especially in the south. It's not really that cold during winter. I think what makes the situation bad is the the wind. Like the wind, it's called, they call it the mistral. It can be so bad, like it can go even to more than 100 kilometers per hour. That's what makes it really not enjoyable. But summers are like, the spring is quite nice, then the summers are really hot, like the unbearably hot. Like for Kenyans, you see the way we say about Turkana, Samburu, and such places, that's how it feels. Sometimes you feel like you're not even breathing. Yeah. What about Italy? How is the weather?
I think compared to the rest of European countries, Italian weather is more warmer, and because I think it's because it's Mediterranean uh, kind of weather and climate, and we have also, okay, the city that I live in usually is colder than the rest of the Italy, but comparing to Netherlands, I feel Italian weather is more warm and is fair. Number five is about language. In these three countries, they have their official specific language. For Netherlands is the Dutch. For Italy is the Italiano. For France is the French. And one of the things that when you're moving to these countries, you need to prepare yourself psychologically is that you are going to face language barrier. And this differs from one country to another. Because, for instance, in Netherlands, in most offices, you'll find people who can speak English, or people who can at least communicate with you in English. When it comes to France, according to what Irene said, and also in Italy, is so difficult. And most of the time, there's no one who knows English. So you have to speak in your English, and the person is replying to you in Italiano, and you have to know how to communicate. And if you want to live in these countries, maybe a long-term duration, like if you want to settle in these countries, maybe you need to learn these languages. You need to learn the local language in order to be well integrated and assimilated.
Number 6 is about the transport system. Okay, generally the transport system is not that bad. Like it's good in Europe, if I may say, because you have different options. Like the flights are quite cheap from flying from one country to another. You have the trains. Trains are more expensive than flights actually when you're moving from one country to another. You have the buses, but now the local transport, it differs from one country to another. Like in Netherlands, the transport system is so efficient. Like I think the maximum delay for a train is like 5 minutes. And somehow they managed to cover it up so it doesn't affect much. Basically, you can plan yourself using the train schedule or whatever the transport schedule, and you'll not be late, you'll be on time. Again, they also have the bicycles, and they have the parking slots for bicycles in every train station. So you don't need to wait maybe for a bus to connect from your house to the train station. You just take your bike, go park it at the train station, hop into the train. And some people, if you work, maybe if you live in one city and you work in another, they have 2 or 3 bikes, so that you leave your bike in one city, hop to the train, get to the other city, get your other bike, get with it to work. So it's so nice. In France, I can say it's a little bit different. For instance, the trains do get like they delay. They know that if the delay is more than 40 minutes, then they need to compensate you. So they try to remain within that 40 minutes. So it's not as reliable as in the Netherlands, but I cannot say that it's extremely bad.
What I can add about transport is that one good thing, especially within the big cities in the 3 countries, one of the advantages is that you can plan your day and say, maybe if you work, for instance, if you get to your office at this particular, you want to get to your office at 8, you can always plan and say, from my house to the metro, I need 5 minutes, and then I get the metro, and then I move with the metro, because everything is scheduled, or there's a system. There's a system. You can always use your Google and see the next bus or the next metro or the next tram. You can plan yourself, but we still have discrepancies whereby, for instance, in Italy, sometimes the public buses, they are still on the schedule. You can see the bus is coming, and then when the time arrives for the bus to be there, they tell you it has delayed for 30 minutes. You wait for the 30 minutes, and then they never come.
Yeah.
We still have those discrepancies, but
like it happens that the bus doesn't come at all.
Yeah, sometimes, especially when there's a lot of traffic, or it is holiday, or it's a weekend. During weekend is very hard to rely on the buses, but you can rely on the metro. The metro are continuously running, but the buses sometimes they really what can I say, they disappoint. Number 7 is about alcohol. So alcohol in these 3 countries is very cheap. And I think for instance, in France and in Netherlands, wine is cheaper compared to maybe in Kenya. And now when it comes to beer is very cheap. Like a crate of beer is so cheap compared to buying 3 bottles of juices in Netherlands. Like you can buy a crate of 24 bottles of beer, 10 euro, which is around like 1,000 Kenyan shillings when they have offers. And the same amount, 10 euro, I think you just buy 4 bottles of juice, these normal processed juices. So we can just say, like, through our experience, like beer is, alcohol is cheaper than soft drinks.
Like also, yeah, you have the expensive wines, yes, but like you have a choice, and the cheap ones are not really bad, like they're not bad wines. Numero 8 is about discipline when it comes to alcohol intake. Like I think in Africa, getting by with the Africans I've interacted with, especially in the Netherlands, we lack discipline when it comes to drinking. Like people will drink and drive, like drink excessively and drive and such things, but here it's different. Like if you are the designated driver, people will be like, I'm driving, so I'll just take a glass of wine or maybe one beer.
Yeah, and just to add on that, like in this, I think in these countries, people just drink socially. They don't drink to get drunk. We don't have kuchafua meza. There's no kuchafua meza in these countries. And anyway, Kenyans people understand when I mean kuchafua meza. There's no kuchafua meza in these countries. People just drink to socialize, to talk about maybe just a glass of wine when people are taking their dinner. And then after that, they just go. And one can drink a glass just for hours.
Number 9 is about security. Generally, all these countries are quite safe, but again, Netherlands carries the trophy because, like, you can even walk with your phone on your back pocket and it will be safe there, or you can drop your document and you will just receive a call from the police station and everything will be intact. I've even dropped my bank card at some point around the hotel building where we were living, and then I was just called by the receptionist to go pick it. It's like when you get there, you just adopt to that system where like you're not scared of anything, like whether it's theft. I'll revisit that about theft because they have somewhere else where the theft doesn't count. But yeah, no pickpocketing. I've not heard about cases of pickpocketing actually when I was there. We used to work, I think we've mentioned this and we'll talk about this later. We used to work at a place where we used to make sandwiches, and we had to cycle and be at the place by 6:30 a.m., which meant that we had to leave because we were cycling for like around 10 kilometers. I can't remember the exact. And we had to leave the house around maybe 5:30, which is a bit dark, especially during winter, but you still feel safe. At times I would cycle alone, I would be safe. There's a time Eunice was working the night schedule, and there was a point where you pass through a kind of a forest, but still you feel very, very safe. Doesn't matter that you are a lady, you are a man or anything, at any time of the day or night, you feel very, very safe. It's a little bit in France because I remember when I came, there's a lady who wanted me not to be out at night unless if I'm cycling. She told me that I would be safer if I'm cycling than if I'm just walking. But I've not had any instances actually, though. Yeah, it's like the one you just, it's better safe than sorry. But yeah. In some cities, there might be pickpocketers, especially in Marseille. I've had complaints about Marseille, like the pickpocketers. But I tend to think it's because there are so many foreigners around there and most of them are illegal. So yeah, security really differs from, I think I would say from city to city when it comes to France, because France is quite big. I said that I will revisit the theft thing in the Netherlands. They don't steal anything else but bikes. Anything associated with bike, be it a light that costs €2, it will be stolen. Like I have never understood it. Like I had a very nice bike that I left to my friend. She didn't even enjoy it for 2 weeks before it was stolen. And there was a time when we were working, we went out and one of our friends found that the seat of his bike had been stolen. So because Eunice was working late, I had to lend him her bike, and then she borrowed a bike from other friends later to join us at work. I've never understood that thing actually. Like why bikes and not anything else? But yeah, what about Italy? How is the security over there?
In Italy, I think it depends from one city to another. In uh, busy cities like Rome, Milan, I think there's some spaces that you are told beware of pickpocketers, but it's not rampant, or it's not like a mugging whereby in a dark street you are told not to pass through this street. It's just like, it's very rare, but it happens. It happens, and I think it's because of also like the illegal immigrants who stays within those cities. Yeah, I've been able to walk at midnight in the street, and especially the city that I live is a very small city. And during midnight or at those hours, there's no one on the street, and you can walk comfortably and go uh, to your place. Like, because giving example is like if I'm trying to move from Rome to my city where I live, I may take a bus that is around uh, 11 p.m. So I'll arrive like at midnight or at around 1 a.m. and I'll have to walk from the bus station to my apartment. And there's nothing that has ever happened to me along the roads. So I can say they're fairly very secure cities. Number 10, let's talk about bureaucracies.
Yep.
Wow. I need first to sigh. Like,
I can talk about this for hours.
this is a whole episode. Like, when it comes to bureaucracies, and I'll start with, in Netherlands, it carries the trophy, it carries the medal, because everything is well straightforward, everything is well explained, everything is efficient and effective. So you don't have any problem. And when you go to a certain office, they will direct you if you are wrong in a different office and all that.
Yeah.
And you'll even get someone to explain everything to you before going there. And also, most of these things you can even do them online. You don't have to visit the offices. So that's a plus. That's a very good thing that I miss about Netherlands.
And their stuff are not complicated. Like, you don't need 20 documents for just a single thing. Like, they are kind of straightforward.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Italy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is one thing I hate about Italy, actually. And as an international person or as an immigrant, is worse, because first of all, you have to move from one office to another, to another, to another. And these offices are not located like the way you go to Uduma Center and you get your services offered within same roof.
Yeah.
In Italy, you have to go from, you'll be sent to a particular office, and once you go there, they tell you, no, you are in the wrong office. Actually, you need to go to the posta, for instance. Like, everything has to be through the post office. If it's about payment, you have to go to pay it through the post office. If it's about even the bill, like, every single item has to pass through the post office. And these post offices are not located near the other offices. So you have to pay to the post office and go. And you can imagine, like, in these cities is not, I told you about the transport system as well. If you don't have a private car, it means you have to walk. And you cannot cycle also, because I don't have a bicycle here, because also the provision for cyclists is not there. So you have to go from one office to another. And then you might even find there's a document, because you're not clear. They're not clear of even the requirements. Sometimes you go and you are sent back. You can work on single application for a whole week. Like you can spoil your whole week on a very tiny thing that required just 2 minutes to be served. And not only that, okay, I'm so passionate about this. Not only that, sometimes you book appointment, you get an appointment. Once you get there, you realize you arrive on your time, the appointment that was allocated, but these appointments times are never followed. So, like, let's say you get your appointment at 9 a.m. And I give you example with application for permit, which is a resident permit. So the procedure is that you have to go to the office first of all, post office, you get the forms, you come and fill the forms, and then you attach so many other documents on them. And then you take back to the post office and pay and wait. You given an appointment, let's say for 2 months or even 3 months after that. And then the day, like let's say they write to you, you are supposed to go now to now the immigration office, which they call Kestura. You go to Kestura, let's say 2 months after that at 9 a.m. You go there 9 a.m. and you realize like there are 50 people ahead of you who are not served, and you still have to wait. So you waste all your day there. Like they never follow time, never.
Yeah.
So that's something that I hate in this country. I love so many other things, but this particular one is the most frustrating one.
I think France is between Italy and Netherlands. And actually, now that you've discussed that, I've realized I think they are making advances because the way the things were when I came, and now I think it's a little bit different. I think, especially with COVID, it has made them make things a little bit more efficient. Okay, when it comes to, no, okay, when you visit the offices and you have an appointment, they will serve you at the appointment time, from my experience. But now, for instance, when applying for the resident permit, for my first permit, you go to the prefecture, which is like the municipality, you book an appointment. Now, when you're booking the appointment, they'll give you the forms that you need to fill. So, like, they will explain to you, like, in French, don't forget. They explain to you, like, you fill here, and then you need to attach this document, and your appointment is on this date at this time. But now, I think with COVID, they have moved online. You can book the appointment online, download all the documents that you need to fill online, fill them, and show up on your appointment time and date. And I love the fact that they remind you about your appointment, like a date to your appointment. They'll send you an email to remind you, you have an appointment tomorrow at this time. I've really loved that. I think COVID has made them a little bit more efficient. Now, the problem now with them is the delay now when it comes to processing. A friend of mine stayed here for 6 months without her first resident permit. I was lucky mine came out in 6 weeks. But now I applied for the renewal on 1st or 4th of February. And we are in May. I've not received anything yet. I think that I love where France is going in terms of, like their system. But there's one thing that I wish they could change: passing the information to international, not only students, but let me just say migrants in general. If someone is coming through the right route, I wish they could give the right, like all the information that one needs to know, because it's never given. Like they assume you will know it, I don't know through what. Like, I'll give you an example. Like my case made me hate France. Like the moment I landed here, I wanted to leave. No one told me the kind of visa that I was supposed to apply for. They just sent me so many documents to sign that I signed, sent back. I'm trying to contact my supervisor to ask like other stuff like accommodation, like because no one is mentioning it. I'm asking about the visa. My supervisor is not an employee of the university, so he has no idea. He told me that I need to apply for a study visa. So I went online and checked the documents that I need for a study visa. I got them all. I had to go from Netherlands to Brussels because that's where their consular office is. Applied for a study visa, only to come here and they're like, sorry, that's the wrong visa. You need a passport style of visa. Basically, it's like a work visa that they issue for researchers and people with other talents, such stuff. I go to the prefecture, the municipality again, trying to see if they can help me change the visa from the study to the work visa. And they're like, sorry, it's alright, but we cannot help. You have to go back to Brussels. My friends, let me tell you, I was so devastated. And then, to change the visa again, the documents that are required are different. And the process is so long such that it has to be initiated by the university, who now is my employer, who should have known all these things. There's a document that is called the hosting agreement. So they need to prepare the hosting agreement, send it to the prefecture, have it signed by the prefecture and then the president of the university, then them send it to me so that I can use it to go and apply for the right visa. And to get this document can take up to 20 days. And during this period, you cannot sign the contract. So basically, if you not sign the contract, you're not paid. I stayed in France for 3 months with no pay. I used to cry every night. Like, I think I've taken so long to recover from that, to love this country back. I think I'm getting there. But I wish they could give this information to people to avoid such problems. Again, the social security number. I come in from the Netherlands where everything was done for us. I assumed it's the same. Like, they will let me know everything that I need to do. No one told me about the social security number until like a year later when I realized that I don't have the social security number. I need to register for it. Even now, I don't have it actually. No one tells you about taxes and how you need to file them, because now like it's like I'm working, I need to file the taxes. No one tells you about it. Now remember, there is the language barrier and all this information that no one tells you about. It's so confusing.
Number 11 is about food. I will say one thing I love. Let me now talk about, let me rank the countries. I think I'll rank Italian food number 1, then France, then Netherlands. Netherlands is last. Italian food is so good. And they prepare this food with very few ingredients. Some are very heavy, for instance, but very delicious, and what can I say? They taste very good. Some are also very healthy. I can say between the 3 countries, Italians are the best recipes, best meals, and yeah, like their cuisine is out of this world. When it comes to Netherlands, the food, I even don't know the specific staple food within Netherlands, but they do a lot of potatoes, I guess. A lot of potatoes, a lot of soups, mushroom soup, I don't know. And there's something very funny about Dutch food, which I've never understood, because when I'm talking from experience of the food we used to eat from the canteen in the university, because that's the closest I came with the Dutch cuisine. this food used to have this particular, I don't know, particular ingredient that used to make our stomach grumbling and making noise. I don't know, like this, I don't know, there's some.
I've never understood. I normally say someone needs to do a research about it and write a thesis about it, because the grumbling of stomachs was something else in the Netherlands.
Okay, the best thing about it, every city has like an African shop where you can buy ingredients and prepare like equivalent to your own country meal.
Yeah.
But it's still, I don't understand the foods that are prepared that are Dutch foods.
I normally, I don't know. I have a feeling those people don't really value food as much. I'm saying this because you'd see like the lecturers, the professors, they would, some of them would carry a piece of a slice of bread,
sandwich with this cheese and some butter,
and that was they take for lunch. But in France, it's different. Like these people value meal time. Like I think it's the same as Italy. Like it's not a joke.
Yeah.
Number 12 is loneliness. Like being, this one I'll just say generally, being away from home can be lonely. Like when I say away from home, I'm not saying like you're in Nairobi where home is Meru. No, you're miles away from home. And then again, you're in countries where now like the language is a problem. That means then the number of people you can interact with is limited. It's quite hard, and it even gets worse when you're socially awkward like me. Like I'm a very talkative person. I think you can tell from this, but I'm not the kind. When it comes now to interacting with people, I'm kind of closed off. Like if you approach me and I realize that we can connect, then I will talk nonstop. But I might not be the first one to approach you. I kind of close. Maybe that's a mistake on my side, but it's my nature. So it's more difficult for me to interact with people in this setup where you want the language barrier and all those things. Loneliness in France really stroke. Is that the right name? It struck me really hard. Really, 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 really hard. Yeah. What about your experience?
I don't know where to start, but what I can say, what I can add on this is that living abroad and moving away from home, whereby you go and you start life in a new country with a new language and with no friends, with no family around, it can be depressing. It can be so lonely, and that's why you find sometimes people have homicides, because it's not as easy as people try to show sometimes online. It's not that easy. It takes some time to adapt. It takes a few months, it can take a whole year. It doesn't have a definite um, formula, but it takes some time either to adapt depending on the destination that you're going to, and depending whether you're going to get friends sooner or connect to people from your country sooner. Because from my experience, simply because when we were moving from Kenya to Netherlands, we were moving 14 of us, and we went to live in the same hotel. We did not feel that loneliness. We did not feel that depression creeping in. And also because immediately we arrived, we were assimilated, we were oriented, we were given all the information that you needed. You could miss home, but not very much, because you had Kenyans surrounding you, you had the institution who could be there every moment you need any help. And then now, we moved now from that to individual. Like And I think that's what changes, because when we moved from Kenya to Netherlands, we were a group. But now moving from Netherlands to Italy, I came alone. And you moving from Netherlands to France, you came alone. And then arriving in Italy, in a very small city that I live in, I just arrived, no one to guide me around. You're just told, oh, you need to apply for permit, a resident permit. You need to have a bank account. You need to have a SIM card. And for you to apply for this resident permit or to apply for a bank account, you need to have a SIM card. You even not told, where do you get this SIM card? You have to start from scratch to find all these small details. And I told, as I said about bureaucracies, there's no particular area that you're going to get all the information. The information is so fragmented that you have to assimilate it all to one place, or you have for yourself to identify all these through mistakes, which is just a simple thing that could have been done by someone, for instance. Yeah, that's what I can say about that. So it can be so depressing, it can be so lonely. So when you're moving, just be psychologically prepared to stay alone, to stay like months. For me, I think for my first 4 months in Italy, I was depressed. Number 13 is about dating. One of expectations that we usually have, not we usually have, but people usually have who have never been in abroad or in Europe, is assumption that dating is just like, once you get into these countries, you just automatically are able to connect with the foreigners or the white people and all that. And you hear these comments of, you haven't gotten a white man there to get married to. Oh, you're not dating a white person and all that. Being abroad is not directly proportional to being connected to a white person.
I think if you think dating in your home country is hard, then dating away from home is 10 times harder, because like we've said, if you're struggling to make friends, now you can imagine how hard it is now to even date. So lastly, as a bonus point, do you know these people close shops during lunchtime? Like, why? Like in the Netherlands, I didn't see that. But in France, apart from the big supermarkets, they close for lunch. And even after 2.5 years, I forget. You get there at 12 and they're closing the doors. So frustrating, so annoying. I understand, like we said, that they value the lunch time, like the meals breaks. But man, they could do it by shifts. Why do you have to close the whole shop to go for lunch, honestly? Like they close for a whole 1.5 hours to go, even banks.
It depends. In Italy, once they close from around 12:30 to around 5. Okay, it depends with which, if it's a shop, like this, like they call them an alimentary shop, they close from 1:30 to 5:30. Yes, yes, yes.
Then they open at 5:30.
Yes, and then if it's about now like offices now they have this 2-hour lunch break that is so long. Like banks, you cannot go between, I think, 12:30 to around 2:30. Like they have 2-hour break. So most of the supermarket, they don't usually close during lunch hour. Not only that, restaurants. Can you imagine? Restaurant, sometimes when you go to a restaurant, you find like by 2 they are closed. So like you have to have particular time to eat for your lunch. After that, there's no like, it's not like Kenyan restaurants that you go anytime, you can just pop in a restaurant and ask for food. They have particular hours of opening, like from around the restaurants. Okay, because of the corona now they have changed the schedule a little bit, but most of the time they open from 1 to 2. And after that, they open again at 7.
Yeah, it's the same in France when it comes to restaurants. I think for breakfast, I don't know what time they open, but they close at 10 for breakfast. Then they open for lunch around 12, that goes up to 2. And then now for dinner,
close again.
For dinner, I think either it's 6 to 9 or 7 to 9.
It depends with specific restaurant, but it's very annoying sometimes when you are just in the city and you want to eat late lunch, for instance, but you cannot find any open restaurant, and you are in a big freaking city.
Yeah, in that case, now you have to go to the fast foods like McDonald's and whatever.
Yeah, it's a very weird, I think, culture or norm that I don't understand. And sometimes even when you are there 1 minute and you find them closing, they never allow it, like never. They don't they don't like money. These people don't like money.
Okay, it's weird, but if I could think about it in terms of like thinking about the employees, I think it's kind of good because they serve breakfast. Now they have time to prepare lunch. They open for lunch, serve lunch, they close, take time to prepare for dinner. For employees, it makes sense. But now for us as the consumers, it's not the best.
No, I think it depends. It's not about the employees, because in Kenya we also have all those people around. So you get employees who can work throughout, and you have lunch. Like you can take your tea in lunchtime. You can take your lunch at 4.
Like I'm saying now, they are more relaxed than like in Kenya where if it's open.
Now when it comes to relax,
the
because
the reason why I'm thinking about them is because we worked at the sandwich place. Like I'm not saying that's how they work, but imagine when you have to serve like all day long, it can be a bit tiresome.
So okay, thank you very much. I know this has been a very long video. And if you think, or if you see we have left something about these 3 countries, you add it down in the section, in the comment section below. And if you want, if you have a video that you want to recommend for us to do about these 3 particular countries as well, we are open for suggestions, and we are happy to share any information and our experiences on the same. So yeah, until next time. Bye-bye.